Alright, so we left off on number 5. It says the graph of either a cubic, quartic, or quintic polynomial, that's degree 3, 4, or 5, with integer zeros is shown. The leading coefficient is plus or minus 1. Write the complete factored form. So I'm going to start this one out for you, and then I'll let you finish. We'll finish 5 and 6 in class. Okay, so we're going to start it the same as we did before, finding our zeros. Okay, so our zeros are there and there. At x equals -2 and x equals 2, 4, 6. So the zeros are -2 and 6. Except now we have multiplicities also. Remember, these are going to be the exponents on the factor. Alright, so -2 is multiplicity 1 because it just crosses without bending. And 6 is multiplicity 2 because it bounces off the x-axis. Kind of looks like the bottom of a parabola, or the top of a parabola there. All right. So our factors are gonna be what and what, and then notice you have to decide the leading coefficient is plus or minus 1. So you'll just decide which one that is. You don't just decide. You have to check which one fits with the curve. All right. 6 we'll also do in class. Let's look at number 7. So how do we want to graph when we need to graph? So we look at the zeros, right? This one, the zeros are x minus 2 gives us a 0, 2. That's right here, zeros. So from x minus 2 we get 2. From x, because x is really x minus 0, that 0 is 0. Okay, so anytime you have a factor of x, you have a 0, 0. Notice also the multiplicity is 2, so at that 0, your curve is going to bounce off, either if it's coming from the bottom like so, or if it's coming from the top like so, like this one up here. It's going to bounce off if it's on the bottom like that, or if it's on top like that. Okay, what else do we know? Well, if we were to distribute, this would be x to the third minus 2x squared. Notice the degree would be 3. And the leading coefficient is positive. That means my graph should follow this pattern of going upward like that. It might have some wiggles in the between. It can have as many as 2, right? 2 turning points, 1, 2, but then it's got to keep going in an upward direction. Okay, now I do know that it has a 0 at 0, right? And it has a 0 at 2. Okay, so it's got to cross those two places. Now, if it's coming this way, it cannot cross over here because it's got to cross over here. So it can be coming this way. Yeah? Oh, but it's 0 because the multiplicity is 2. It's going to bounce off. Oh, okay. So it'll bounce off and then it's got to come back up again and cross. Okay, so we have an idea where it goes. We just want to have a nicer idea. So I'm going to find... So we know how it's going to go. It's going to go kind of like that. But we want to know, like, over here, where's a point that the line goes through, the graph, I'm sorry. And I'm just going to find f of -1. So f of -1 would be -1 squared times -1 minus 2. And that'll give me some number, right? And I'm also going to find right between right here, because remember, it's going to bounce off like that. So I already know it's going to go like that. Right? And then over here it's going to go up that way. But I need to know down here, so I'm going to find f of 1, just to give me a good idea where it goes. Okay? So f of 1 would be 1 squared times 1 minus 2, whatever I get from there. And then past over here, I need to know how steep it is. Same thing over here. That's why I'm doing f of -1. And I'm going to find f of 3. Okay, so f of 3 equals 3 squared, right, because it's x squared, times 3 minus 2. And we'll finish that off in class, and we'll finish graphing this in class. Let's look at one more. So let's look at number 8 here. This is the last page. It says we're going to write the factored form, find all the zeros, and then draw a rough sketch. This will be a rough sketch. It won't be as nice as this one that we saw back here. Okay. Let's see how we can factor. So this is, first we can factor a common factor of x squared. Punch it in a little bit more. Okay, so this is x squared times x squared minus 2x minus 3. And then can we factor x squared minus 2x minus 3? I'm going to bet that we can, okay? So the factors of negative 3 that are up to that's that's negative 3 and 1. So it's x minus 3 times x plus 1. And so that's complete factored form. I'm sorry, that's factored. Okay. Factored form. Okay. Find all zeros. Find all zeros means, this is A. Find all zeros means solve 0 equals x squared times x minus 3 times x plus 1. Of course, if we know the factors, we also know the zeros. You guys remember that? So from the x factor, we get x equals 0. From x minus 3, we get x equals 3. And from x plus 1, we get x equals negative 1. So those are my zeros. All right, and then finally C, I'm going to draw a rough sketch. So I want to remember the multiplicities, right? So the zeros are at 0, 1, 2, 3, and negative 1. Okay, this is degree 4, so with a positive leading coefficient, so it's going to follow the like the parabola with a positive leading coefficient. So it's going to be coming down from this side, right? It's going to cross there. Then it's got to come back up to this guy, but at 0, the multiplicity is 2, so it's going to bounce off, and then it's going to come back up and cross here. Okay, so it's going to come down that way, and then it's going to go back up that way. All right, there's my sketch of that f of x. Okay, and we'll do number 9 in class. All right, this will be the end of the second part and the end of the section 4.4.